I recently played Sons of the Forest. Besides the stunning graphics this game presents, I'm not sure where I land precisely on how I feel about this game. I can't help but compare it to its predecessor, which sometimes results in me feeling disappointed. I do like Sons of the Forest, and there are multiple aspects of the game that I enjoy to a great degree. However, I can't help but feel like it lacked a lot in certain departments. I want to start with saying that I enjoyed Sons of the Forest and I do recommend it to people. It's a solid survival game with impressive visuals and interesting enough features that will keep you entertained and might even leave you terrified. I would know, I had multiple instances where I paused the game because I was too scared.
Entertainment, like let's say you're stuck in an island like this. You don't have Netflix, you don't have...
First, I want to talk about the graphics. Sons of the Forest, without a doubt, has the best trees and forest visuals of any game. It is a marvel at how far we have reached in gaming that we get to have such stunningly realistic graphics such as this. The simple of chopping trees looks insane. I remember watching that from the trailers and getting my mind blown. I'm just lucky that I got to play this game at the highest graphic settings on 1440p while running smoothly. So I was thoroughly able to enjoy the visuals of Sons without it hampering my FPS and ruining my playthrough. The items you carry and the enemies you face all look so good too. So in regards to the graphics, this game passes the test. So what about the atmosphere? N-Night Studios' decision to stick to their guns, with the nighttime and darkness being actually overwhelmingly pitch black, instead of going the route of dark blue filter or giving you items that will emit enough light that nighttime is relatively still visible, creates an atmosphere of unease and tension. This is what made the original Forest game stick out and is still paying dividends with Sons. You couldn't just pull out a torch and everything will be fine. It made doing anything out at night too terrifying of a prospect and made exploring caves a claustrophobic and terrifying adventure. Pair it up with how audible your surroundings are, it creates an atmosphere that leaves you unnerved. It got you wondering if the shaking of bushes or a crunch of a stick were wildlife, you, or a hungry cannibal stalking you. Sons of the Forest, however, failed to completely maximize the horror of their game. Yes, the game is still pretty scary, but why not terrifying? The original Forest, with much fewer features, graphically inferior, and smaller budget, produced a much more palpable fear than Sons has. Maybe it was because I knew what to expect, since I did play the original game. Maybe it's also because I've grown much older since the original, but I'm not really sure of that. I'm still pretty much a pussy when it comes to horror games. I played RE1 plenty of times, yet it still leaves my heart heavy whenever I start it up again. I just think Sons failed to fully use the tools at their disposal. The Cannibals and Sons of the Forest are also a prime example of wasted potential. The Cannibals of both games have great AI that make them feel like actual living enemies instead of mindless zombies. However, what makes me disappointed with Sons of the Forest Cannibals is why they didn't push the intricacies of their AI further. When I played the original Forest, I kept praising how great the cannibals worked and how intelligent they came off as. Their behaviors and their patterns cemented the game as such a unique experience. Throughout the years after playing Forest, I just kept contemplating how much N9 would improve their AI. If they did so well in the first game, I can't imagine how much better they're gonna do that they have more experience, better tools, and presumably larger capital. Imagine my disappointment when I met the Cannibals in Sons. First, I want to talk about the good things about them. Their apprehensive nature still helps cultivate them into feeling alive. They still build up anger at you if you hurt one of their own, and will still notice your prowess if you display their heads as effigies. If you hurt one or kill one, word will spread out to their camp and more will come after you. If they feel like you're too dangerous at the moment, or you successfully kill multiple of them, they will start running away. They mourn their dead ones, and are agile enough to dodge your blows. Sometimes they try stealing your logs too, which is pretty funny. There is also a much more diverse variety of them, which is great. I fucking love the designs and how distinct they look. However, these actions are all expected. Most of the features I talked about were already present in the former game, and it's pretty obvious decision to add more variety of cannibals. Why not make it more in-depth, however? Hopefully I'm not coming off as entitled, but the point of emphasis of the first game was the cannibals. I don't understand why they didn't decide to spend more time on the aspects that mattered more than allocating time to useless features such as the needlessly huge map. I'll talk more about the map design later, One of the biggest losses in Sons is the fact that you don't feel the cannibals' presence anymore. What I mean by that is in the original forest, you felt them without them even being there. You feel watch and you hear sudden yelling from the distance. You would catch them watching you from a distance, while in Sons of the Forest, you didn't feel any of that. They would just directly come at you, either watch you up front or just fight you. No subtle fear anymore. Do you remember those blood-curdling screams from the original? Yeah, you don't get those anymore. At least from my experience. The original Cannibals had more interesting routines and patrols as well. Not to mention their homes felt more esoteric and frightening. Just take a look at the differences between their camps from the original to the current one. The camps from the first game had a tribal aura coming from them. It felt like you accidentally walked into an area you shouldn't be, and it got you worried that one of them might catch you. In Sons of Forest, however, it looks like the cannibal families are just out having a picnic with their small tents and a little fire in the middle. They didn't seem to have any interesting daily routines. In the original Forest game, you knew that if you entered one of their homes and there was no one there, it was because they were out in patrol most likely. Sons of the Forest had a great opportunity to fully delve into the original reason why the forest was beloved, creating meaningful enemy interactions and enemy AI that are so interesting that you just end up observing them sometimes. I wish we got to see cannibals act smarter and maybe even have each camp have its personality. Maybe some more aggressive immediately, or maybe some more passive. Maybe a way to create a pseudo peace when you don't bother each other. It would have been dope to see cannibals living their own lives as well. Watching them hunt wildlife or watch them kill other cannibals and eat them, since that's what they are. Observing them build would have been cool as well. It would be dope to see each variety of cannibal have their own roles in their camp. The much bigger ones are capable of actually carrying logs, while the smaller ones are hunting rabbit. Maybe across the map they could have set up traps or have specific patrol routes again. Wouldn't it have been amazing if we got to see cannibal cubs interact with other cannibals? See differences in each one's camp? Get to see them drag rival camps' people and tie them up and eat them? It would make sense to have different camp cultures because the map is so big. The one camp from one meridian would be so much different from the other side. Crying about the failed potential of the cannibals, I want to talk about the map this time. Like, I'm genuinely curious, why is it so big? It makes a map that is already empty feel even more empty. Also, some of the designs of this map I dislike, such as the huge mountain in the middle that does nothing but make traveling to the other side of the map much more of a hassle. First, yes, the trees and foliage in this game are wonderful, but does it have to be this dense? Where every square inch is just filled with bushes in your face? The original Forest game felt like it had more structure. It had a large forest, of course, but it also had areas of flat land. It gave more character to the world and felt more properly designed. Sons of the Forest map, however, feels like you spray painted trees and bushes everywhere. Barely enough flat land that helps you appreciate the forest itself. Like, just watch this. Having areas that aren't fully inundated with trees helps make the land more sculpted. I do like some parts of the map, like the waterfalls and the lakes. It just feels too empty sometimes, which the size of the map helps exaggerates. I remember when I first played Sons of the Forest and I was nervous about traversing the map, because what if I accidentally walk into an enemy outpost? But turns out most of the time I'm just running past trees. And if I do see a camp, it's just some tents. Some biome diversity would help the game, maybe make the mountains not impossible to climb. Again, this wouldn't be too bad if the map wasn't so needlessly big. Also, there is no sinkhole alternative or anything to that scale, hence leaving no real significant landmarks in the game. The sinkhole from the original game was such a great piece. It filled me with curiosity about what could be down there and my adrenaline rush at the thought of the climb down. In Sons of a Forest, however, we get trees and trees and trees. Also, the vehicles in this game feel like they just got tossed in without thinking because the map isn't built for them at all. If you tried driving this game, you would understand what I'm saying. I want to talk about the caves now. Some of them felt too wide, almost losing the sense of claustrophobia and having your back against the wall. However, besides that little criticism, I still think the caves in the game are done well and still the most terrifying experience in the game. I do see complaints that there are too many mutants in the game, but they didn't bother me, so I don't know. The caves still display N Knight's mastery at work. The darkness, your torch not emitting enough light to clear the way, watching enemies lurking around while their footsteps reverberate. The dripping of water and the sounds of running are also visceral and audible, and it makes caves exploration such a great experience. Great mysteries you'll find, cool structures, and terrifying encounters. The cave systems are still great. enemy designs are fantastic, the best in the game. Some look really alien and gross. Well, probably cause they are alien. They look disgusting and horrifying. I love it. I just wish there were more caves. The same goes for the bunkers, they were nice bits to explore. Okay, since I was so negative, I want to talk about the stuff I do love about the game. I think the inventory system looks great, and it's become one of my favorite inventory visuals in any game. I enjoy the weapon variety given now. I now feel like I can properly defend my base from intruders. Building in this game is also a lot more cathartic and prettier. I have heard if you're a big fan of it, it does worse than the first game, but since I don't build so intricately, I found the experience pleasing. The additions of Kevin and Virginia are great as well, especially if you're playing single player. It does affect the sense of isolation and fear since now you do have company, but you can also just kill them. But for me, I did enjoy their company because I am a pussy. Also, since Kevin is such a massive help, he helps complete tedious tasks such as collecting sticks and or helping you build. They also added a lot of features that help make the game less frustrating, such as being able to throw logs into dispensers. Also, being able to stick logs into zip lines is such a massive quality of life. Cannibal mannerisms still have a lot of cool aspects to them, such as the big ones pointing their weapons at you menacingly. Okay, I'm not gonna talk about the story that much, besides pointing out that inherently, since this game is a sequel, a lot of the mysterious allure is gone. Since you already have a basis of what happened because of the first game, not the game's fault, it's just inherent when you're already building up on the previous story. The forest story points work better because you're starting at the point of not understanding at all. You're just stranded on an isolated island with what appears to be cannibals and mutants, so finding lore bits everywhere was more fascinating than in Sons. There's still a lot to like about Sons of the Forest, but sadly also a lot to be disappointed by. It sucks a lot. I waited for so long for this game. I still hope they fix some of the more realistic issues like the enemy AI, but I don't think we can have much more hope for fixing the map since it's too monumental of a task for them to get started with. They can try to add more stuff, make it feel less empty, but I don't think anything they would do significantly helps the map since the map is too big, that even adding some structures would still leave the map empty. Plus, N9 has previously left the original Forest game a buggy mess. I don't know if they'll actually build more onto this game now that it's at 1.0. They might just move on to a 3rd edition or completely new IP, I don't know. Hopefully I didn't come off too negative. I expected a lot more from Sons of the Forest. However, I still enjoyed my time playing it. It's still a good experience. And it just made me appreciate the original game more. Anyway, yeah, go fuck yourself.